Let me say, I feel like Miss Sheinbaum in Mexico is having a real moment. What are her approvals? Like 83%, I think I saw
Yes.
the other day. I mean, she's crushing it. What do you think are like the headwinds that are going to come her way, though? There's a huge unknown with Trump and that relationship. So I think that's a real pitfall. That's probably her, I would say 50% of her day is just figuring out how that relationship's going to be managed. But what's your take on where her headwinds are, maybe where her tailwinds are?
Yeah, and I think she has tailwinds right now, and I think she has tailwinds, and it's interesting to compare Mexico to Canada. Sorry.
That's all right. If it's the
Right.
president, put him on.
Yeah, no, it's right. If it's must, put it on.
All right.
By the way,
I said president, Chris. I said president.
we do have to talk about the video in HHS.
We definitely have to talk about that video.
So here's what I think that in all this stuff, Canada comes off, and Canada's leadership comes off as kind of whiny and defensive. Even the new leader of the Liberal Party, she did this absurdist thing about, my 4-year-old said, "Mommy, will the U.S. invade us?" And some fucking insane thing like that, or my 6-year-old, which A, is a conversation that never happened. But even forgetting if it did, why would you drag your kid in it? And your fucking kid's 6 years old, and she shouldn't be like driving conversations. If you are the leader of a country, you should be doing it. And so it's this kind of weird defensiveness and second rate thing. That it's clearly, and where Scheinbaum's coming from is, kind of fuck or fight. And she's been, very forthcoming. She's got, Mexico has tremendous amount of problems internally, but I think ultimately, if we know anything about Trump, that, he likes people with balls, and he likes people that are strong, and he likes people that are charismatic, and she has all those assets. So I think that, Canada, I mean, again, I'm really, over exaggerating, but Canada has this woe is me thing. Like, they're going to be victimized by whatever the U.S. does, and then they're going to react. They're going to be reactionary. But Sheinbaum is very proactive, and we're going to do this, that, and the other thing. And clearly she's a really good inside player. And I think to come from where she came from, to get the nomination of the party, to win overwhelmingly in the country, you knew she has to be a really good inside player. And in Canada, Justin Trudeau was son of father. Right. And I think that kind of, or maybe the son of Fidel Castro, if you believe that kind of thing. But no, I think that's...
Do you think this guy, Pierre Pavlov or whatever, the opposition guy in Canada, you think he's a shoo-in? Is the brand so bad?
No. I think the brand is bad. And I think that, there is a certain amount of Canadian nationalism that's happening right now. And he's got a kind of an oddball coalition. I mean, his coalition is kind of a little more difficult because it's all the kind of the status quo stuff. And frankly, the Canadian nuts are nuttier than the American nuts.
Yeah.
So he's got to hold that together.
You have to be a little fucking crazy to live up in that cold winter wonderland place.
Yeah, right.
Jesus.
It's beautiful country and beautiful people, and I'm very much pro-Canadian, but there is definitely a sense of little brother. We used to always joke with my friends. We say, how are things in America, Junior? But
Mexico's a little bit like the drunk, crazy uncle in that family relationship. It's kind of like doesn't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And again, and I think that, what do we like in leaders? What do we like in, why do we give somebody our confidence to lead a country?
That's a great
point. And when you look at Sheinbaum, she's kind of, playing from not a great hand.
Right.
When you look at the relative GDPs, the poverty, endemic corruption, and tremendous amount of problems. But you look at her and you hear her and you go, okay, I'm in,
I like what she did. I think it was in the last week or two. I know we missed last week because I was in Vegas, but, expanding that firearms lawsuit by declaring gun running terrorism and the way she's positioned. I mean, if you're going to call drug trafficking terror, like designate them as terrorists, which sure or not true. I'm not knocking that decision, by the way, necessarily, but certainly positioning that she's doing is really, I mean, I feel like she's really astute. I mean,
What was super duper smart about it, and a political lesson that all politicians can learn, and especially American politicians, when somebody says something that's fairly obvious, like drug cartels are terrorists, and politicians did two things. They will quibble and try to adjudicate the exact meaning of the word terrorist from the international, shut the fuck up. Or they would say, politicians will do that. The second thing politicians will do is they'll like, how dare you say that about these good people? I mean, they kind of defend the indefensible. And she basically said, she agreed to it. It's like, you're right. And we haven't gone far enough.
That's exactly right.